Hi everybody. Today I am making sushi for lunch to show you it's not so scary. Now we have some nori, seaweed. I've got some crab meat. I also went ahead and already made by directions some sushi rice, aka sticky rice. I also have some frozen shrimp that I defrosted and is already cooked and ready to go, some cucumber strips, and avocado. So first I'm going to take a piece of nori and put it on my parchment paper. You don't need one of those fancy sushi mats. Parchment paper actually works really well. So when you put it down, you want to make sure there's kind of perforated lines. So that's, I guess, your cutting guide. So you want to line it up, facing the way in which you'll cut it. You want your hand nice and wet to handle the sticky rice because it will stick to your hand and not where you want it to go. So the water kind of acts like a glue so that you can put the rice down and it'll stay where you want it to. So I'm gonna put it for the whole length of the roll, but I'm only gonna be doing for the partial width, length, width, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm putting the rice actually down right on the parchment paper, and then I'll put the nori on top. I just put the nori down first just to get an idea of what size I needed to cover with the rice. And yes, we're having a little bit of carbs today, and I know I say we don't eat carbs, but it's really only a little bit. So I think it'll be okay. So now that I have the rice, I'm going to put the nori down, and you want to line it up so that it's lined up with the farthest edge of the paper. Okay, so the end closest to you doesn't have rice underneath, if that makes sense. And then you want to take a little bit of water and kind of just wet the far end of the nori, because when it rolls up onto itself, that'll act like a glue to hold that. Okay, now we can start putting our stuff. So I have the crab meat. You just pull it apart just like this. Comes apart very easily. I'm not going to use the whole thing, probably just half of one for one sushi roll should be enough, because I don't want it to be stuffed too much. And I've already pre-sliced my shrimp. I've kind of halved them. So now I'm just placing that down. And then next I have avocado, which I cut up, and I'm just trying to cover the whole length. Okay, they're not perfectly cut pieces. It's kind of hard to cut avocado, I gotta say. And lastly, I have cucumber, which I've cut into little strips. So I'll put like 2 strips down for each half. There we go. Now the lovely process of beginning to roll. So I wanted my hands nice and dry. So you take the paper. You want the nori to be close to the edge, but not all the way. And you just start to roll, but so you want to use the paper to help you, because it won't stick to the paper. It will stick to your fingers. So you want to tuck it in, tuck, so you get the tightest roll that you possibly can. Just like when you're rolling up a poster or something else. So then you can gently pull the parchment paper out and go again. So you do it in kind of increments. You can go as slower the better, I think. And you don't want to roll it too much in one go, because the parchment paper will get stuck inside. So that's why you kind of have to do it like this. So you roll, and then you could pull the paper. Here we go. Roll again. And pull. You can also do this without the rice, by the way. I just find it a lot harder to cut, and the rolls are a lot thinner. So I've yet to figure out a way to use cucumber as like a wrap instead of rice. I noticed they do it in Publix. They use like a thin rice paper around the cucumber to hold the cucumber in place. I am just not that fancy yet. Okay, we need a cutting board now so we can put our roll, and it's time to cut. Now, you want to use a sharp knife. You don't want to use one that's serrated because it'll just rip the paper underneath and it'll smush the roll. So I am going to get my sharp knife. You can also use a paring knife. Those tend to be more sharp with the blade. I have these two chef knives. I don't know what this one's exact name is. I just call it a chef knife. I have two different styles. So this is my blade of choice. It's nice and sharp. And you just want to saw. You do it in a sawing motion. Now, the first piece that you cut on the very end is going to be sort of ugly. So I put that to the side. Or eat it. Whatever you want to do. Let's see. So I'm going to put that to the side. Okay. All right. This rice is falling off a little, but that's okay because we're not eating all the carbs anyways, right? Maybe this is just a sign telling us, you said you weren't going to eat carbs, but I see rice. What's the big idea? So I'm now just going to finish cutting up this roll, and then I'm going to work on making my soy sauce dipping sauce. Okay, now that I made my sushi, I got 8 pieces. 9 if you include the ugly ends, but hey, they are edible. The flavor's there, they're just not pretty. So now normally you would put soy sauce just in here, but we are doing things a little different because we want a little more flavor. Now normally what John does is, all right, he'll take his soy sauce packet and whatever. Oh, that's a lot, I know, but we're sharing. So, you know how they give you wasabi and ginger, usually with sushi? Well, I don't know if everyone knows this, but the wasabi you're actually supposed to mix into your soy sauce, not put it right on. And the ginger is supposed to be a palate cleanser in between, and also maybe softens the blow of the, in case you know, mouth burns from the wasabi or something, right? Okay, so I need to put some wasabi in there. Now I happen to find this. Oh gosh, I forget where. I got it either in Publix or in the neighborhood Walmart grocery. I can't remember. So I'm gonna put some in. Now, this is John, who loves his spice, so I'm not being shy at all. Okay, I'm just using the back of the spoon. I could use the front of the spoon, but all right, I'll use the front. Mix it up. You don't have to include the wasabi if you don't like the spice. Another thing you could put in is ground ginger. It actually gives it a nice flavor. I usually put it in when I'm making my chicken lettuce cups. Instead of doing wontons, I use ground chicken. That'll be another time, another recipe. And then I use a drop, just a tiny little bit, just like, boop. And some garlic, because we love our garlic. I'm using the powder right now because I don't want to cut up the garlic this second, just a tad. And there we go. We have our sushi and our dipping sauce. Sorry for the strange audio, folks. I had to do some voiceover in certain parts. Enjoy!